Welcome to the third video, guys. In this video we are going to learn how do we create a Spring Boot project using IntelliJ IDEA. Now, before we create a project, I want to point out a few features which is provided by Spring Boot. Now, one thing I want to mention here that it has an embedded Tomcat server, so you don't have to install any kind of server separately. When you add a dependency of Spring Boot into your project, it will automatically add a Tomcat as well. That's the best thing about Spring Boot. Now, let's go to IntelliJ IDEA and we create a new project. So I'm going to open IntelliJ IDEA. We click on Create New Project, and then we select Maven as our build tool. Let's click on Next, and then here we're gonna define our group ID, which is kind of package name. So I'm gonna type Spring Demo. I didn't spell it right, so change that to Spring Demo. And artifact ID is your project name, so that would be Spring Demo. I'm going to leave that version as 1.0. Let's click on Next. And then as you can see, our artifact ID is already been written there as a project name. There we have a location to save our project. So you want to save it somewhere else, you can change it from here by clicking on this three dot button and then save your project wherever you want to save in your computer. Let's click on finish, and it's telling me that the project directory does not exist, right? So what we can do, I'm gonna click OK. It will create a directory for us. Now this is a Maven project, and I'm going to expand this. As you can see, we have a source directory, main directory, test directory, and we have the pom.xml file where we'll add our dependency, and we will tell IntelliJ IDEA that we're trying to build a Spring Boot application. Down here we get this notification from IntelliJ IDEA saying Maven project needs to be imported. So I'll click on enable auto import, so it will automatically import everything we change in our POM file. Whether we add another dependency or whatever the changes we make, it will automatically be updated. Alright, so let's go back to spring.io /boot Spring Boot. Now here we have a parent and a dependency. I'm going to copy this code. Let's click on this copied. Let's go back to IntelliJ IDEA, and I'm going to paste that here. Control V, paste it there, and we'll see this Maven project bar here. So I'm going to expand that, and I'm going to just reduce the size of that. And here we have the refresh button as well. So in some cases, if IntelliJ IDEA doesn't refresh your project, you can simply come here and click on this refresh page. Now let's look at our external libraries. I'm going to expand this, and now we can see we have Spring Boot Starter, and then we have the Tomcat as well. So it's already imported every dependency we need to start working on our Spring Boot application. Now I'm going to just unexpand this external libraries, and then we go to main. We have the Java folder, resources folder. Now let's create a new package first. I'm going to right click on Java folder and then click on package. So here we type com.spring boot example. I'm going to click OK to create a package, and right click, create a new class. Let's click on Java, and then we'll just create a Spring example. Make it capital word, so example. Now we have the class here, right? Now we are going to just add a main method first. So let's just type public static method is done. Next thing we need to do here, we need to add a code. But before add the code, I want to tell IntelliJ IDEA this is a Spring Boot application. So we need to add annotation for our class. So let's type add. And then here we type Spring Boot application. As you can see that we're getting a suggestion as well. This is coming from our external library. So I want to select this Spring Boot application. Now as you can see, we got the import automatically done for us. Now let's go to our main method. And inside the main method, I want to write this Spring application. And we're going to call a method on it, which is run. And then inside the run method, I'll need to type whatever the class I'm going to run. So that's a Spring example. So we'll just type Spring, the class name Spring example.class. All right, and then I'm going to type comma here and then args. Okay, let's save the file, and now we can run our Spring Boot application. So I'm going to click on build. Let's build a project first, and then I'm going to run this. So once it's done building the project, then we can right click here and then we can click on run Spring example.main. Let's run it, and in the terminal we can see that the Spring is executing this, and it's going to take a bit of time. Now down here, pay attention, Tomcat has started on port 8080, and then we have the application started in 5.492 seconds. Now let's verify that. So we'll open a browser, and then inside that I'm going to type localhost 8080, and there we go, our Tomcat server is running. Well, you're probably thinking why I'm so happy, because I've got an error. Well, I was expecting this error. Now I'm going to show you how we can create hello world application that's going to run in a web page. As you can see here, we have this resources directory. I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to create a new directory here, and I'm going to name it static. Let's press enter, and inside that static directory I'm going to create an HTML file. Let's click on HTML file. I'm going to name it index, and now once I've created the index.html file, and here we're going to type a title, so Spring Boot application, and then in the body we can just simply say h1, and we just type hello world. Right, this is a basic application. Now I'm gonna start the server again, so let's click on this stop button, and then let's start over server again. Let's click on this play button to start an application, and as you can see, Spring is starting again. And then we'll go to our web browser, and let's type localhost 8080, and once I type that, and there we go, we got the hello world done, right? So that means our application is working. Now before we end this video, I want to talk to you guys about a few things here. Now if you are watching this tutorial and you are an absolute beginner, you have no web development experience, or you have no idea about HTML and Java, I would highly recommend start from the beginning, start learning HTML. For styling our web applications, or static web pages or dynamic web applications, we need CSS. And for the front-end application, front-end development, we need a JavaScript, right? And for the back-end is Java. So we're using Spring Framework and a Java language as our backend language, which will provide all the data, all the dynamic data for our web applications. But just a standalone Java cannot develop a web page or a web application. So we need a structured language. Structured language is HTML, style language is CSS, front-end development can be done with JavaScript, and then Java provides a backend functionality such as adding to your database and retrieving data from database and showing that into your web page, and actually making it dynamic. So if you click on a sign up button, it should bring up the sign up form. If you are a sign in button, then it should bring up the sign in form. So all of that is dealt by Java, and we will use this framework which is Spring Boot. So actually Spring Framework, but Spring Boot is another project in Spring Framework which provides a bit more features. Alright, so you need to know HTML, CSS and JavaScript as well to create a full-fledged, like nice looking application, right? You don't really have to use CSS or JavaScript, and you can just work with HTML and Java, but you won't be able to style your application and make it look cooler without CSS. So yeah, check out my beginner level tutorials on this channel about JavaScript and CSS and HTML. And yeah, that's it for this video, guys. So we have successfully created a Java application which was hello world, and every application needs a hello world application when you start learning. So everyone teaches you hello world, right? So don't worry, we will start building proper applications in Spring.